have had meetings with my leaders of the 4 committees.
Can you hear the volume?
Reporting framework and its regularity as part of the firewall that we need to erect to curb runaway corruption.
No sound. What shall I do now?
Right, Mr. Speaker, Parliament does oversight visitations to the public, but they corruption. Mr. Speaker, can we proceed?
Good morning.
Fiscal reforms.
Let me see.
Challenges, Mr. Speaker. Of course, part of what explains unearning borrowing is the size of tax to GDP ratio. But there's a question as whether our fiscal framework can
facilitate I'm still looking for volume. Ratio.
My key people.
Hello, morning everybody. Can you hear me now? Sally Muna Uganda, can you hear me now? I'm looking for the volume. It's not working for me this morning. Can you hear me now? I can't get. I'm here. Okay. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you for joining me. We stand here. I'm coming to tell you about the financial loss that we lost yesterday. In about 10 days, Uganda has lost over 4.5 trillion. But should it be there? The news I have for you yesterday, we remembered all the people who were massacred in Kasese. Over 155 people were massacred. Their king is still under house arrest, and the ICC got Mr. Ileru off the hook. Very unthinkable. So we have to advise them not to let Muhoozi off the hook. Another news, leader of opposition is going in the West for fact finding. So that is still going on. So as we stand for now, Uganda is losing money for Ugandans. Uganda, we are losing a lot of money. Money is not accountable. We have a Minister of Finance, Kasaija, who has got a habit of borrowing, but he doesn't know how to pay back. You heard all the news about Entebbe Airport. Entebbe Airport is on the way going. But if we had a minister of finance who is doing his job, Entebbe Airport should not be at risk. Because as a minister of finance, is meant to monitor the money, is meant to borrow, is meant to see that we are able to pay back. When you are going to give as a bait Entebbe Airport, a national airport, you must go through stringent, you must cross-examine every nitty-gritty of the word borrowing. That money we are borrowing, can we be able to pay it back? And also we are seeking information if Minister of Finance Kasaija took this borrowing, the loan we took from Chinese, he took this to the parliament, because as big as it is meant to go to the parliament first, and the parliamentaries, they are meant to approve this loan. But as we stand for now, we have a big debt. Uganda has got a minimum of 94 years to pay back our debt. As we stand for now, every Ugandan, you like it or not, you are going to pay 1.5 million towards that debt. We have got 18 billions debt, US dollars. So if you are looking after your family and you don't want to come show off your face, you fight for freedom, fight 7 to go out. If you got 10 people, you are going to pay 15 million because you are the one who is funding them, who is looking after them. So when we talk about debt, we are not talking about something so small. It goes wider. It affects everybody. You had our leader of opposition when he was talking about wasteful expenditure. So where we stand for now, we are into extravagant. But should we be there when we have a Minister of Finance? He's been a Minister of Finance for over 10 years. His NRM supporter is no surprise. He's not meant to be MP. You remember in the last campaign, he had an independent next to him who was going to win him, and he bribed him, and he give him a job. So morally, he's not right. Ethically, he's not right. And handling our money is not right. But how did we lose that money? Last week, they approved 3.5 trillion, no billion, shillings to buy ex-vice president money, a vehicle, and ex-prime minister a vehicle. And then there are other people who are getting half a billion for their vehicles. But don't forget, Sekandi was a vice president. The last parliament, he got 200 millions for the vehicle. And then he had vehicles as a vice president. When he was ousted in our constituency, he did not bring back the vehicle. But guess what now? They have approved more, and then give him the vehicle. Same thing happens to Ruhakana Rugunda. Was the prime minister, he got 200 in the parliament. He got vehicle as a prime minister. Now he's been approved 3.5. He's among those who have benefited from 3.5 trillion. What sort of vehicles are they buying? Nabanja was stuck in the road. Her vehicle broke down. And these are the people who have got vehicles. Now that means we are spending money on ex-vice president, ex-prime ministers. That is their incentive. Then we had a 1 billion, which was approved for Janet Museveni to appear at Kololo. But you have to ask yourself, what was that 1 billion for? When she was going to bring something wrong about education, how to start, she's not going to the parliament. She's refusing. But how comes we have this money approved when we have a Minister of Finance? How can he approve this money? 1 billion for Janet Museveni to appear in Ikololo. For how long? Speak what? That money is being spent for what? You saw what when Museveni was swearing in. We spent 9 billion. 9 billion, we had plastic chairs, broken chairs. People did not have drink. It was hot. Everything was out of the tents. Everything. So with the Matia Kasaija being a minister, you have to speak about 1 trillion, and then they take it as serious. You saw how much we spent for them to go to Dubai Expo. Lot of money. And they ended up giving people who are not there, the Indian company, a deal of $15 million. So we are into loss just within a space of 10 days. Uganda has lost nearly more than 5 trillion. 3.5 for the vehicles, then 1 billion for Janet Museveni, then 31 billion for Masenero. That one is missing, is gone. She came in, she didn't have any courtesy. She came and said she spent 8 million to buy a mouse. A mouse I bought myself. I bought it for 50,000 shillings. Wireless, has got all this, battery life for 18 months, has got all the specification that you want for 50,000 shillings. For her, she made it 400 times wherever. Is it 400 what? 400,000 times to buy a mouse, and that was accepted. That is not what we are going to accept. So Uganda is losing money. And then on top of that, Ministry of Health launched what they called emergency medical services. Launch. How would you launch a policy? What is the importance of launching a policy? Go on the ground, do whatever you are meant to be doing, and then you call people to evaluate. But what we are losing money. This money is going. This is very significant. People, they must say it's not, but Museveni is relying heavily on the money to influence other people, to buy off people, to shut up people. So it is very imperative that we speak about this. Matia Kasaija is number one, a key holder from Museveni, because without the money, Museveni wouldn't be into powerful now. But for him to have money, access to money, that he's giving people money, is buying off people, and people, they are keeping quiet. So we shouldn't be that way. Why Sewungu Gonzaga revealed that it was nearly a trillion, 1 trillion, which was prepared for Janet to go to Kololo. So Uganda, we are losing every day money. We are losing money which shouldn't be lost anyhow. Anyway, if we have a Minister of Finance, he should be able to monitor. We should have internal audit. We should have external audit. We should have people dealing with accountability. So because he lacks accountability, he doesn't seek for accountability. Uganda, the finance, we are going into bad state. We are into deeper debt. Deeper debt for Ugandans, whether you like it or not. We are into deeper debts that I don't know how we are going to come through this. That Uganda keeps on borrowing, Uganda keeps on giving wherever money that. So we are into deeper debt, but lack of accountability is costing us a lot of money. Because if it was simple lack of accountability, I have given you money to go and do this, and then I want you to show me how you have spent it, and the money, you don't give it in hand. Money has got to go through structure, the bank. Money has got to have signatories who have been investigated, who have been approved, that financially they should be able to stand the test. It's not like Raphael Magezi. Raphael Magezi was deemed as corrupt, as bad as corrupt, and then he went on to bring the finance certificate and bring in a bill to remove the age limit. That was unacceptable. Ethically, morally, it was unacceptable. But for Matia Kasaija watching, he's there watching. He's clapping hands. He's legless. He said, oh, I don't want to do it, but NRM members, you be in my neck. He's legless. He cannot stand. When we take a debt, it has got to be sustainable. We have to ask ourselves, what do we have as Ugandans? We earn from our revenue 18 trillion. 18 trillion. How are we going to spend this money? I have my improvised bill that I wrote when they were reading the budget. So how are we going to spend this money? How are we going to stay within our means? We cannot afford for money to go missing. As bad as it is, as fast as it is, we are paying the president 560 millions per day. We are paying him supplementary. We have got supplementary after supplementary. Supplementary has got to be something emergency, something like a disaster, those that you haven't planned for. Before we have a budget, people, they have to give in whatever they want, and it has got to be counted. But then we had the KCC. They put in a supplementary for 13 billion. Kampala is into floods. Kampala doesn't have street lights. Kampala doesn't have clean sleeping water. Kampala doesn't have road markings. Kampala doesn't have road signs. Kampala doesn't have road traffic lights. So 13 billion for what? Elias Lukwago has been there for over 10 years. For what? When you were mayor, you have the backing of the people. It's about your mind to come up with the ideas, to mobilize those people, to motivate them and do some work. We saw this man in Machindi called Crack. He was from Northern Ireland, but I think he's a Ugandan now. He mobilized. That's what a mayor is a form. So the money we are losing should be avoided, but lack of accountability is contributing to that. And because of lack of accountability, it comes to somebody's character. Because Matia Kasaija is telling you, I don't want expensive weddings, but my son has got to bring the wedding in the village because I need votes. Listen to that. And then he says, we know the wetlands, then we give land titles. That is another. Then he says, we had so many adhesive units. They opened up, they cut into so many constituencies, but we did not have the funds, the resource to run that. That is a legless man. Then he says corruption is something that concerns every Ugandan, that we all have to take what? Legless. So as a Minister of Finance, he should sit down and say, no, I'm not borrowing money. Uganda, we are borrowing now from Chinese. And when you borrow money from Chinese, at what conditions are you going to give them? And Matia Kasaija, I'm not economics, but a little bit I know. Much as you were Minister of Finance, I look at your CV, is very impressive. Anybody missing a one payment, that money, the airport should not be taken. One payment. In UK, you miss 3 years of your payment to take your mortgage off you. If you know the word is structure, restructure your own. Now, Matia Kasaija, look, we borrowed 5 trillion over COVID money, and we couldn't pay back the IMF. And what we did, we went back to IMF for extended credit facilities, and then they gave us another billion. That is restructure. It's the same way you should do to restructure this loan. The Chinese cannot take our Entebbe airport. If he cannot take it. You can negotiate. What are the terms of limits? And another news I have for you. Ham Chigun is going back. He has petitioned the High Court. He doesn't want to pay the 120 million because he defaulted on his loan. But then he calls himself a lawyer. And I'm like, is he a lawyer? So accountability is very important. Matia Kasaija doesn't know what to do about accountability. Leader of opposition talks about accountability. Hashtag accountability and services. NUP, we promise to recover the money and the assets, the stolen assets. We are going to be right on the ball. We are going to stop borrowing money. We are going to start living in our means. If we say Uganda earns 18 trillion in revenues, our budget is going to be within 18 trillion, not more than that. And then our budget, we are going to look at priorities. Like our principal, our president-elect told us that 15% is going to go to health, like in Maputo. But we stand for now. Where we stand for now, money has been borrowed and is being taken. Under NUP, we are going to have monitors. We are going to monitor whatever money is being taken out. We are going to have auditors, internal and external. Accountability is going to be one of our aim, that we look at this. When you look at our legislative agenda, it talks so clearly what we need to be doing, what we are going to be doing, and how we are going to do it. Because now people, they are having They are stealing money for funds. Let's see, they are stealing money for funds. I'm really very, very worried and concerned that Matia Kasaija is not doing anything. This is the money we had for, that's the money for COVID. That money, 11.1 trillion, was stolen. And that money has never been accounted for. That is a Nanga who likes to tell lies. That money has never been accounted for. And now, this is what we are facing. Uganda has got 94 years to pay off its debt. It's big, it's bad, it's you, and everybody should know it. And then every Ugandan, you are going to pay 1.5 million towards our debt. And if I can tell you, if you have a family of 20, you are the one who is going to pay all this money. So you have to fight to get rid of this government. You have to fight, and you have to talk, and then you have to talk. You have to be, we have to talk about this man, Matia Kasaija, because as we stand for now, he's the minister of finance. He releases the money, he gives in money, and he's the one responsible. He has to be accountable, and we have to go for accountability. Now, look at this. Ugandan, we surrender key assets for China cash. We surrender our airport. But what have we got in our airport? There is nothing. Now, look at this. We have a quarter of Ugandan's budget was stolen in 2020. What did we do? What happened? This, everything is going to become on your head. We like it or not. Look at the picture of our debt. Our debt, our borrowing is going up and up. It's not going down. If we have a good minister of finance, our debt should be going down. There is nothing wrong to borrow, but you must know how to pay back. And then that is Ugandan activists. What you did was very good when you petitioned the IMF not to give us extended credit facilities, the 1 billion. Very good. Thank you, everybody who joined into that. Now look at this. Okay, NSSF was to sell assets to pay the new bill. They did not want to give savers money when we had this COVID. People, they were asking, give us money, give us some of our saving, 10% or 20. Even what? NUP proposed that to them, but they didn't. Now they say, okay, they are going to give them. Look at this. Mbaba's secured 137 million to build NRM float towers. Until today, we have never seen those NRM towers. So where did that money go? And he was borrowing to secure from Chinese. So that is how we are going now. And then government broke 60 trillion. We are borrowing and borrowing. We are borrowing and borrowing. The picture is out. Look at that. Government fails to account for 6 billion for COVID. So if we have a minister of finance who is well tuned, now this one, now can you see every Ugandan need to earn 3 points? That was a fat lie from 7. That was a lie. So we did not, the target was missed. We did not have it. And then Matia Kasaija says that domestic debt breaks by 50% of our GDP. That is very, very strong. It's a strong word. It's bad signs where we are going for now. MPs ignore us. They want to earn money. They always want money. And they look at this. Government gives media chamber the tax break, 16 billion. We are giving, but we are into big, big, big debt. This one is when Matia Kasaija read the bad finance budget. That was in 2020, 20 to 21. It's all going wrong and wrong and wrong. and MPs, they pass mobile data, fuel, and what. So the picture is there to see. And that one, government eyes, taxpayers. We are paying fuel, petrol. You can see it has gone out. And without MP's cars, Uganda would be vaccinated. That is how the money is badly spent, is diverted to other means. And then NSSF, no cash for early payment. That was in 2020. And the government pays heavily on unspent loan. So where are those loans which are unspent for us to be? So this is how I proposed. This was my proposal when they read the budget this year. And I put up a hashtag, spend our money well. And this was my proposal, that my budget for 2021, out of 45 trillion, I was going to spend 20 trillion on health, 20 trillion on education, 20 trillion on job creation, 5 on transport, 5 job creation, housing 5, security just only 100 million, and the others 3.4. That was my expenditure as I'm speaking to you. That was my expenditure that I gave. I thought we could spend our money. But this is how, for them, they think that is how. But my expenditure is sensible and within means. So, fellow Ugandans, as we stand for now, Uganda is sitting on a tiny bomb. Uganda, things are not working. Things are not getting any better. So we have these people who are careless, who are in a position of power, that things are going wrong, but they show no mercy. So where has all our loan money gone? We continue to borrow money. We have got Kasaija, who is not standing for accountability, who is not doing anything. So that is how we are. So this morning I come to you. Over within 10 days, Uganda has lost more than 5 trillion. But remember, we have already spent 50% of our budget. And then we continue. Entebbe Airport is going. And we are borrowing, and that is not the only date. Go on Mary Serumago on Twitter. She has uploaded all the dates that which are coming into line. But should we have a good minister to look after our finance, to care after our finance, we shouldn't be in this position. We should not borrow. We should live within our means. But the fact that they have ignored the biggest population of Uganda to help them into economic growth, they have ignored it to create jobs. Because if they create jobs, we have got one of the youngest population. Those young people, they are going to work, and then they'll pay taxes, they will improve themselves, they will contribute to economic growth. But what is happening? They are ignoring that. For them, their mentality, let us borrow and get ourselves out. That is not going to work. Museveni said economy is coming back in January. I don't know, by bus, by airline, by train, by what. It's not coming back. We are going down. That is damn. Don't accept that. But if they create jobs for one of the biggest population we have in Uganda, the youngest population, they can work, contribute to economic growth. But the jobs they must create, they must be able to pay their cost of living. They must be able, good jobs fit for purpose, that they can be able to sustain themselves. And then they have to try and recover money. Ham Kigund is going back 120 million. Kasaija has walked away with the money. Then we have, if I could tell you, Betty Kamya came, asked me to follow her. Yes, I have. And I'm just telling you, she's got a Twitter account opened. Go and visit her now. She calls herself Betty Kamya Wamware Smanya, I don't know. Naye Betty is single T. she's on Twitter, she's the IGG. It's not going to help us. Edina Nakalema is today, 2 p.m. Uganda time. She's on TV, one of the TV. I posted it on Twitter. She's there. Let us visit those and we put up our opinions. It matters a lot. So Uganda, we are borrowing too much money. We are not getting the money, but we are borrowing way above our income. That is the sticking point. We are borrowing above our income, but we have no good plan to sustain our debts, to live within our means, but there is extravagant. The money given into Sekandi, Lugunda should not be given to them. Let them go back to schools, to workers, health workers. They are striking because they are not being paid well. That money should be used that way. Janet Museveni to come and we spend 1 trillion for what? That money we should keep it. Let her be on Zoom. Let her go to Parliament, and then if she wants, they call it launch for them. Launch 1 billion. Launch everything. They launch, and then people they clap. They come drink soda. They eat barbecue. They do this. That is not what we want. Launching is not going to take us anywhere. We need actions. We need people to deliver. And without that, we are not going to go anywhere. We are not going to move. So we need people. We need people who can do the job. We need people who are going to work for Uganda, not for NRM. We need people who can stand on their legs. By principle, I'm not borrowing more than what we earn. By principle, I'm not doing this. Museveni, even if you want money, I cannot give it to you. But as it appears for now, we have got Governor of Bank of Uganda, Mutabire. He's sleeping. He's wear one shoe, left in one leg, left in right, left in left. He's sleeping. He was given a job out of sympathy. That is not what we want. We want people who are going to be on their guard. We want people who are going to work. We want people who are going to stand. We want people to realize that being in debt is not the best way. We don't want to have children growing up in a burden. We want Uganda to be able to manage ourselves, to work together, to spend for Uganda. If we spend money into public services, we are not going to be in debt. Because if you give people public services, they can access, they can afford, it's quality, it's universal. That is the basic policies. Bring a policy for access, bring a policy for access, affordability, for quality, and the universal. Those 4 policies, we are not going to get into debt because everyone will be feeling at heart. Everyone will be like will be contributing. But what we are having, they are starving people. They are starving people of public services, and people they are finding ways, survival ways, to go and find somewhere how to survive. It shouldn't be that way. But imagine within 10 days we have lost 5 trillion. But that money which was released for Janet to come in Kololo, can we have accountability to recover that money, Matia Kasaija? Betty Kamya, you can start here. Edith Nakalema, you can start from here. Edith Nakalema just told you on Twitter, being a major does not entitle you to investigate, to be somebody to deal with the corruption. Corruption is very simple. Have administrators, have data entries, have data collection. Bring it together, put it on the table, go in inquiry company come. Then if it's known, recommend to the police. Police takes the evidence, police investigate, police will ask somebody. If they are satisfied, they recommend it to the court of law, and the court of law will use evidence. But what is happening in Uganda? One day, we are borrowing 1 trillion. We are giving you Janet 1 trillion. Who is she? Who is she to have a 1 trillion? Minister of Education, when it's going down, she doesn't want to go to the parliament. Who is she to have 1 trillion? 1 trillion for what? They are going to bring inconvenience. When she comes, roads are going to be closed. This is how she is, out of touch. We want people to spend our money very well. product and exit are dispersed into NRM. True. Sabula Nyabo, Waverly Charles, they cannot create any job. Uganda has no brain. Very true, Sapa. Paulo Isoba, Mr. Museveni's statement are always the opposite. If he says no, Uganda shouldn't be killed, held in position long without court judgment. But let us start with the Honorable Sewanyana Segrinya. He seems not to know, but Uganda being confused by politicians instead of chasing the Chijambiawi. I couldn't agree with you anymore. I agree with you, Paul Isoba. That's true. We call for our comrades to be released. So, finance. The state of finance is bad, is going bad and bad. I just told you the loss within 10 days. We can either be on Matia Kasaija deck, Minister of Finance, they have Gogobia there. He said he came in to come and say wherever accountability, but he hasn't able to do that. Matia Kasaija keeps on saying, I don't have money. But where does he get all this money? Where does this money come from? Who is releasing this money? Sekandi is in 80 years. I know Sekandi very well. I grew up seeing Sekandi all my life. And he's in 80 plus years. Does he need, he has got the incentive of, he's been in parliament, he's been getting 200 million per term, and then vice president, then they have given him, I think they are playing some games. They are not giving this money to Sekandi, but they find a reason to justify their corruption. Well, let us take it on. We don't want that to happen. So we are going, don't forget, you have a date on your head for 1.5 trillion, for 1.5 million, and it's you who is going to pay it. And then Uganda is gonna take us 94 to pay, but I'm telling you by next year it's gonna be, you have that date for you to pay, and then it's going to take us 94 years to pay off our debt. And it's going to be even more, because the more they borrow, the more our debt becomes so worse. That's what I had to say to you this morning. It's not very nice, but we have to say it. These are the people who are holding Uganda backwards. These are the people who are sinking Uganda into debt. They are elderly. By the time they go, we are going to stay with that burden. We don't want to do that. We can do better. We don't need scientific rocket. Anybody can see it. You earn 18 trillion, budget 45 trillion, 3 times. Your debt is 18 billion US dollars. Nah, so it's not on. So fellow Ugandans, that is where the picture is. And for me, we have lost too much that we shouldn't lose. Miss Musenero, a message to you. Don't come back and say you bought a mice for 8 millions. I bought mine for 50,000 shillings. Don't come back. Janet, you have to turn up in the parliament and present your proposal for children to reopen up schools. Don't go, don't pass, don't tell us about your security. Janet, you a civil servant. Your immunity about security is not about that. If you don't want to do what a Minister of Education is meant to be, resign. As simple as that. Matia Kasaija, you should resign, because you are seeking Uganda into debt and debt. Museveni, you should resign long time ago. So, fellow Ugandans, I love you so much. Thank you for listening to me. It's Demic is as always. People power, our power, people power. NUP everywhere, NUP. I like that. So I like that word. So have a nice day, and I'll be back.